If you're listening this late, thanks for sticking around. Maybe on a restless night, maybe just curious. Where are you settling in? What time is it where you are? It's past midnight here. Rain taps against the side window in steady rhythm, a soft percussion that never quite fades. That sound, the wet slap of droplets against glass, pulls you away from whatever you were thinking, makes the room feel smaller, closer, almost intimate. The kind of night where shadows stretch long, and the house hunches down, listening. You stand near the bathroom door, the one that's been closed quietly for the last half hour. You can still feel the faint warmth of the room on your skin, a slight humidity from the shower steam that's long gone but left a ghost behind. The doorknob feels cool under your fingers as you press your palm against the wood, listening. The rain mingles with silence, but something else is there. A soft, uneven sound from beyond the hall, shifting just out of immediate sight. Footsteps? At this hour? They come and go, slow, hesitant, almost like someone is figuring out their path through dark spaces. You hold your breath when the creak of a floorboard interrupts. It's distant, near the back of the house. Close to the side exit you know you forgot to bolt tight earlier. Your eyes follow the soft shimmer of rainlight on the polished floor as you move quietly away from the bathroom, every step measured not to make noise. Outside, the world is a blur of motion through soaked trees, leaves slick, branches bending gently under the weight of water. Somewhere beyond that, a gate swings softly ajar, catching in the wind. You check your phone, 1:17 a.m., and the little screen glows too bright in the dim. No missed calls, no messages, just the steady presence of the storm's soundtrack. You glance toward the window at the back door, locking mechanisms familiar beneath your fingertips. The latch clicks into place, but as you pull the handle, there's that quiet sound again. Footsteps. You freeze, heart picking up a rhythm that doesn't match the rain. Outside, soaked earth shifts under those footsteps. Mud squelches faintly as something moves against the gravel path skirting around your house. You remember the stories you heard from neighbors about the howls in the distance when storms like this come. Wolves? Coyotes? Or something older, less explained. The sound is low, carried by the wind, a distant echo that pricks at the edges of your senses. You want to tell yourself it's just the storm playing tricks, the mind stretching shadows into shapes. But the footsteps are real. They pass the bathroom window and stop. Then move again, slower now, patient. You consider calling for help but know the line might crackle, or worse, run silent. The house feels heavy, the room's tightening like a trap, but also strangely familiar, your refuge turned uncertain. In the kitchen, the hum of the refrigerator is a constant companion, a modern heartbeat against the night's creeping unease. You decide to keep watch, a window slightly open to hear better, a chair pulled close so you don't have to stand. The gate's swing has stopped, still ajar, and the howling has faded into quiet. As the rain softens to a drizzle, your thoughts turn inward. How often do we feel caught between safety and exposure? How does the mind hold steady when senses sharpen and the world tilts? Footsteps past the bathroom door remind you that some nights the house houses more than just you. You can't tell if it wants company or if leaving silence behind is the only way forward. The storm might pass, the gate might close in its own time, but the question lingers. When the footsteps fade away, what do we listen for next? Thanks for being here this late, and if you haven't yet, don't forget to like and subscribe. Where are you listening right now? What time is it where you are? It's well past midnight where you sit, and the rain presses against the side window like a soft, constant whisper. You can almost taste the dampness in the air. a mix of wet wood and soil turning to mud outside. The chill creeps over your skin, a faint shiver that climbs your arms, despite the cozy warmth inside. You lean closer to the window, fingers grazing the cool glass. The rain plays a slow, irregular rhythm, almost like someone tapping a finger with no urgency, just enough to remind you it's still there. You notice tiny rivulets of water pooling in the narrow crevice where the frame meets the sill, then racing downward. Your eyes catch a shadow, a movement beyond the translucent curtain of rain where the garden meets the fence, where the gate sits slightly open. An invitation or an accident, you can't tell. The gate creaks softly, pushed lightly by the evening breeze, blending with the muted soundscape outside. Behind you, the house hums quietly. The low drone of the refrigerator pulses steadily. It contrasts sharply with the silence hanging in the hallway, where the floorboards seem to have grown wary underfoot. You step back from the window, hearing it again. The faint, deliberate creak of a door hinged somewhere near the back of the house, where the side door leads out to the porch, and from there, the patchy lawn that slopes down into shadowed backyard trees. Your heart beats a bit faster, not from panic, but alertness, a sudden sharpening of senses that clouds the warm space where you stood moments ago. You check the clock on your phone, 1:45 a.m. The screen glows softly in your palm, the only artificial light leaking into the dim room. No messages, no calls, no reason for alarms beyond your growing awareness. You slide your thumb over the phone, locking it, and quietly move toward the kitchen. You pause as the wind carries a low, mournful sound from somewhere far off, howling dogs, or something else, a breath caught deep in the night. You know the neighbors live a good distance away, their house is dim, lights long out, no help within immediate reach. You flick on the porch light with a gentle click, the bulb casting a yellow cone over the steps and the half-open gate. Damp footprints mark the wooden boards, fresh, unmistakable, leading to the side door. You don't rush to open it. Instead, you reach for the locks, quietly sliding each bolt into place, listening to the soft clank of metal settling. Outside, the rain lessens to a drizzle, the atmosphere sucking in a brief moment of stillness. The occasional plink of water dripping off leaves now feels like the slow tick of a metronome, keeping time with your thoughts. You wonder how long those footprints have been there, or if someone's still out beyond the fence, watching you as you watch them. The gate's crease isn't just a sound anymore. It's a question you can't answer. What draws you to listen so closely to nights like this? You keep the light on and the door locked tight. But somewhere past the backyard's edge, that faint, lonely howl returns, threading itself between the rain's softer notes, as if asking whether you notice, and if you understand what it means to wait in the quiet for something unseen. If you're listening this late, thanks for being here. Before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe. Where are you right now? And what time is it where you are? Here, it's just past 2 a.m., and the rain has been falling steadily for hours, tapping rhythms against metal and asphalt, blurring the edges of the world outside. You step out of your car at the highway rest stop, the air cool and damp, smelling sharply of wet pavement and gasoline. The glow from the street lights above pools unevenly in puddles on the cracked concrete, reflections rippling with every drop. There's a distant hum of highway noise, faint and never quite constant, swallowed sometimes by the soft hiss of rain falling from slick leaves and creaking signs. As you approach the closed restroom building, a sudden breeze brushes your skin, carrying with it that unmistakable chill, the kind that nudges the hairs at the back of your neck upright. Your footsteps echo weakly in the near-empty parking lot, each tap registering with a crisp edge against the steady rain. You reach for the door handle, fingers cold against the metal, only to find it locked solid. The latch doesn't move. You try again, a firm pull, a twist, but nothing gives. You glance down at your phone. 2:07 a.m. No signal, no bars. The glow from the screen feels too bright in this washed-out world. Around you, the rest stop holds its breath. No other cars in sight. Street lights hum quietly overhead, a few flickers punctuating the dark unexpectedly. The rain continues its steady tempo, a blurred sheet washing everything with cool gray light. The distant howl of what you're certain is a coyote threads through the night, stretched and lonely across empty fields beyond the highway. The sound makes the hairs on your arms rise again, a reminder that despite the seeming stillness here, the world beyond is very much alive. You step back, listening to the rain swirl in puddles near the curb, the soft crackle of water meeting asphalt. Your breath billows in small clouds, humidity caught in the chilly air. You consider your options, the locked door behind you, the empty stretch of highway bathed in shadow ahead, the whispering woods just beyond the lot's edge. The streetlights flicker once, then steady again, revealing a pair of muddy footprints pressed faintly in the dirt along the side of the building. They're recent, uneven, leading around the far corner, vanishing into the night. Your heart quickens, slowed only by the steady pattering of rain, reminding you that each moment feels longer when the world around you narrows to the size of your own breathing. You check your phone again. No signal. You dial emergency numbers out of habit, each call unanswered, swallowed by static. You tuck the phone away and pull your jacket tighter, the collar damp from rain and mist, your eyes tracing that dark corner where the footprints disappear. The world feels vast and strangely empty here, the silence thick with waiting. What do you do when connection fades, when the places meant for rest and refuge become closed off, when the night invites questions without answers? Outside, the howling returns, a distant, stretched note riding over wet fields, as if searching for a reply that may never come. You wonder, standing there in the drizzle, how many times you'll find yourself locked out, waiting in the dark, between storms and safety, and what it is truly that you're waiting for. If you're still awake, thanks for sticking with me tonight. Before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Where are you listening? What time is it? Here, it's just past 3 a.m., and the rain shifts softly between drizzle and steady patter against the window pane, filling the silence with its restless rhythm. The air carries the cold, wet scent of damp wood and turned soil, pressing softly through the slightly cracked window, making the curtains move in ghostly sweeps. You find yourself in the kitchen, drawn to the old wooden table, sitting just beyond the dim hall light. It's the kind of table that's seen years of gatherings, worn smooth at the edges, the surface dimmed by countless cups and careless spills. Tonight, under muted light, it feels heavier somehow, as if it holds its own memories slow to fade. You pause and run your fingers lightly across the grain, cool and uneven beneath your touch. The house is quiet except for the rain's persistent sound and the distant roll of thunder, soft but thick in the night. You notice the faint creak of the back door latch, an old sound you know too well. You set down your phone, the bright screen swallowed quickly by the dim room, and move toward the hallway that leads to the porch. The floorboards underfoot sound muted but distinct in the hush. Rain brushes against the side windows, a constant shushing noise that overlaps the evening's quiet otherwise. As you pass the living room, a shadow flickers near the corner of your eye. The room is dark, the overhead lights off. Only the glow of a street lamp outside filters through the curtains. But that shadow, near the edge of the table, holds still for just a heartbeat longer than it should. You stop, heart tightening, turning slowly. The chair there is empty. You step closer. There's a faint chill in the air, the kind that crawls along your skin and settles behind your ribs. The smell of damp fabric, maybe wood smoke from the fireplace, long since died out. You glance again at the table. Nothing changed, nothing moved. But somewhere, just beyond the backyard, the gate swings quietly, creaking like an old door left unlocked. A distant howl rises, low and slow, threading through the rain's percussion. You reach for your phone, fingers trembling slightly, eyes scanning the dim corners for shape or sign. No missed calls, no new messages, just the soft glow that lights your face, the rhythm of your breathing, and the quiet watchfulness that seems to fill the room now. The rain shifts, growing softer then louder again, a whispered conversation with the wind. You take a deep breath, savoring the simple warmth of the kitchen light, the familiar feel of shoes on worn floorboards. Yet you can't shake that sense. Someone near the table, where the darkness gathers, waiting in the quiet spaces no one else sees. It's not a presence you can touch or name, but it hums at the edges of your awareness, pressing lightly against the boundary between here and elsewhere. You wonder, in a house filled with locked doors, bright lamps, and familiar sounds, what does it mean to feel watched by something unseen? When the night holds its breath, waiting with you, how do you know if you're truly alone? Thanks for staying up late with me. Before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe if you find yourself here often. It keeps the stories coming. Where are you listening from? And what time is it there? Here it's just past midnight, the rain's steady patter tracing the outline of the night, like a thin, persistent thread. It seeps through the cracks of the old window frame, carrying the cool scent of earth and wet wood that sticks lightly to your skin. You're standing near the back door, the air thick and damp, breath curling faintly in front of your face. Your hand presses against the door's metal handle, cold and smooth beneath your fingertips. Beyond, the garden gate hangs slightly ajar, moving silently with the breeze and the steady rhythm of the rain. Somewhere beyond the fence, distant howls curl and fade, like stray breaths lost in the dark. Inside, the house feels still but watchful. Wooden floorboards groan softly under unseen weight, and the low hum of the refrigerator punctuates the silence. You reach for the landline phone resting on the small table by the hallway, the receiver chilling your palm as you lift it. Your fingers hesitate over the buttons as you dial the emergency number. The crackle of static, the brief beep of connection, it all sounds normal, until the line goes dead. You hold the handset to your ear, breath tense and shallow, waiting for the call to connect again. There's only silence, broken now and then by the steady drip of water from a leaky gutter outside. You try the number once more, but the line falls silent the moment you hit send. No dial tone, no crackle, just dead air. You lower the receiver slowly, your mind whirring. Outside, the rain has softened to a steady drizzle, the garden gate creaking as it sways in the rain-washed dark. You move back toward the window by the kitchen, eyes scanning the yard under the porch light's weak glow. Muddy footprints stain the stone path, fresh and irregular, leading toward the side gate. The silence feels alive, charged. Somewhere near the back fence, the howling rises again, low and uncertain, threading through the wet night air like a question unanswered. You check your phone, 2 missed calls, no signal bars, no way to reach anyone right now. The power hums softly through the walls, a small comfort in this growing stillness. Your breath steadies, chest tightening and releasing in slow, deliberate waves, the quiet rhythm of being alert but calm. The rain brushes against the window pane in a soft, uneven tattoo, pulse and space folded together. You glance again at the back door and the ajar gate beyond, the muted world pressing against the glass like a shadow waiting to cross. Locked doors, silent phones, distant howls, they weave together into a pattern you can almost feel, but not fully understand. Even as the night folds closer, closing sound around you, you wonder, what keeps us steady when the connection cuts out? When silence swallows the signal and the watching feels unbroken, how do we keep from becoming lost too? If you're still awake this late, thanks for coming back. Before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy these nights together. Where are you listening from? What time is it where you are? Here. It's just past 2:30 a.m. and outside the rain has softened to an insistent drizzle, tapping softly against the side windows. The air smells heavy with wet earth and cold wood, the kind of dampness that clings quietly to your clothes and skin, subtle and unrelenting. You move toward the back door, the wood familiar under your hand, cold and slick with moisture. A slight chill snakes down your spine, not quite from the air, but something there, just beyond reach. The porch light flickers weakly, doing little to push back the shadows pooling beneath the overhang. The flickers almost mimic the hesitation in your breath. Your fingers brush the metal latch. It's closed tight. You test it. A quiet, practiced motion. But the gate beyond calls to your attention. Stepping onto the porch, the cold slick of rain-slick wood stretches beneath your feet. The gate hangs ajar, swinging slowly with a rhythm all its own. The rusty hinges sigh as the wind catches it, creaking in long, drawn-out notes that thread through the night. You know this gate. You locked it hours ago, or rather, you thought you did. Puddles gather beneath, reflecting the weak porch light in distorted glints. Past the gate, the yard softens into dark shapes where trees huddle. The scent of damp leaves and moss curls in on itself, sharp and cool. Somewhere beyond, a low howl unfurls, a sound stretched thin on the wind, carried far and wide through empty streets and sleepy backyards. It's patient and aching, wrapping the night in a sound that feels both wild and sad. You lift your phone from your pocket, 2:31 a.m. No messages, no calls. The screen blinks in the dim, a faint but steady pulse of light. You consider calling someone, but the silence outside blankets the house, and you decide it's better to listen. The rain's rhythm sets your heart to its pace, steady and slow. Footsteps echo faintly from across the yard, a soft crunch of wet earth and shifting gravel. You freeze, breathing slowed instinctively. The sound fades before you can place its direction, swallowed again by the night and the rain's lullaby. The gate swings slightly wider, creaking once more, reluctant to settle. You study the path between the house and garden, familiar yet foreign tonight. Locks, bolts, and light bulbs offer comfort, but the open gate has shattered some quiet trust. How often do we think the barriers between inside and out are secure, until a creak or a missing latch tells us otherwise? The howl rises again, hollow and long, a thread that weaves through soaked leaves and distant shadows. It's a reminder that despite locks and lights, the world beyond your walls carries its own stories. Waiting, watching. You wonder, when the gate hangs open in the dark and the howling cuts across the quiet, what parts of ourselves do we leave outside? What stays? And what do we invite to rest, just inside the threshold? If you're still with me this late, thanks for staying close. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new here. Where exactly are you listening from, and what time is it? It's 3:17 a.m. right now. The rain hasn't let up. It drizzles against the front porch roof, tapping a quiet, uneven rhythm. That faint scent of wet earth mingles with something sharper. Cold metal from the door handle you're about to check, smooth and slightly damp beneath your fingertips. You can feel a subtle chill climb up your neck, the kind that settles into your skin like a warning. You step carefully across the creaking hardwood floor, feeling the worn grain beneath your socks. The house is silent except for the faint, patient tapping of rain outside. Yet, that tense quiet is never quite complete. There are small sounds you didn't notice before. The faint hiss of dry leaves brushing at the gate, the way the wind shifts, pushing it just enough to catch your attention. You reach the front door and press your eye to the peephole, the lens cool against your skin. Outside, everything looks blurred, the wet glass fogging the porch light's yellow glow into a comforting halo. But shadows gather beyond, shapes indistinct, pressing against the night. You blink slowly, straining to catch a movement, a face, anything. A pair of muddy footprints, fresh and oddly shaped, mark the concrete path leading away from the gate, which is still slightly ajar. They disappear around the corner where the porch light doesn't reach. The subtle creak of the wooden fence swaying in the breeze catches your ear, followed by a distant, low howl that seems almost like a question whispered into the darkness. The sound is far enough away to be unsure if it's an animal or just the wind bending branches against each other, but it still prickles your senses. Glancing down, your fingers brush the cool metal of the deadbolt. You slide it into place with a practiced motion, hearing the quiet click and latch pop as the door locks solidly. The porch light makes the raindrops glisten like tiny prisms on the wood, each one catching and refracting the glow for just a moment before disappearing. Swallowed by shadow, you step back from the door and pull your phone from your pocket. The screen brightens the hall in blue-white light. 3:17 a.m. exactly. No missed calls or messages. Just silence and the steady breathing of the house around you. With the porch door locked tight, the house feels like a fragile bubble against whatever curiosity lingers outside. The rain softens now to a gentle pattering, easing into a lull between bursts. You think about those footprints, the gate, that distant howl. You wonder how long you've been watched without knowing, how long your body has worn that readiness to react like armor. When each small noise carries weight, and the night feels like it might fold inward at any moment, you flick off the porch light, letting the shadows reclaim the yard, and for a moment you consider if anything truly waits beyond the gate, or if it's just your imagination tracing shapes in the dark. Maybe what matters most is that you stayed alert, stayed present, like watching, waiting for an answer. But is being awake enough when the night keeps its secrets this closely? If you're here this late, thanks for coming back. Before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps keep these stories going. Where exactly are you listening now? And what time is it? It's deep into the night, just after 3:45 a.m., and rain is still tapping softly against the backstairs wooden rail, a quiet rhythm that pulls you into the moment. The air is thick with dampness, the smell of wet earth mixing with the faint scent of old wood and moss clinging to the shaded porch steps. Your fingers brush against the rough grain of the stairs railing. It's slick with moisture, cool against your skin. You pull your jacket tighter around you, feeling the sudden bite of cold that slips past the warmth you'd wrapped around yourself just moments ago. Outside, somewhere beyond the small backyard, the gate remains slightly ajar, catching the light of a distant street lamp in a slow, swaying motion. There's a sound that catches your ear, a soft whisper, barely more than a brush of air against fallen leaves, carried up from the space beneath the stairs. You freeze. Your breath quiet, you listen. The rain continues its gentle patter, drumming in waves that rise and fall like the ocean's ebb. But beneath it, something shifts. The soft scrape of something sliding, scraping lightly against the wood beneath the stairwell. It's close, but obscure, like a secret spoken in the language of shadow and quiet. You bend to peer, underneath, the edge of the porch curling in, inviting darkness, but there's nothing visible. Just the damp soil and the twisted roots that grip it. The house feels both enormous and constricted all at once, the old floorboards creaking beneath your steps, the faint hum of the fridge from inside, the crackle of the porch light flickering above you. You glance around. Neighbors' windows across the street show nothing but black, the glow of their bulbs long extinguished. Any help is miles away, if it exists at all. You step back, heart steady but alert, and reach slowly for your phone. The screen glows, 3:47 a.m. You consider calling someone, but the signal is weak out here on the rural edge of town. Instead, you breathe deeply, letting yourself settle into the rhythm of the rain and the creaking house, aware now of every slight sound. There's a distant howl that threads through the night air, long and low, folding into the soundscape like a question meant for no one in particular. You tell yourself it's the wind, the wildlife moving through wet underbrush, the gate swinging softly again on its hinge. But the whisper below the back stair lingers in your mind, a quiet mystery pressing just beyond sight, just beyond understanding. How many times have you stood here, alert for a sound you never fully understand, caught between the safety of light and the unknown waiting in shadow? Sometimes, the night offers no clear answer, only the patience to wait, listen, and wonder what lingers unseen. And you wonder, if the whisper beneath the stair is nothing but the house settling, why does your skin still tingle with the feeling that something is quietly watching, just out of reach? Thanks for being here this late. Before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Where are you listening from? What time is it where you are? It's 2:03 a.m., and a thick fog presses against the windows, mixing with the lingering drizzle that's softened into a persistent mist. The smell of wet asphalt and cold air creeps in through the small crack in the window, drawing you closer. That damp chill on your skin shifts the weight of the night, pulling you into something uncertain. You stand near the back door, the wood cold beneath your fingertips as you turn the handle slowly, feeling the soft resistance of a latch sliding free. Outside, the porch light struggles against the mist, casting weak, blurry halos that fade into the woody shadows beyond the yard. The air smells of wet leaves and something faintly mineral, like the earth itself breathing quietly after the rain. Somewhere beyond the garden fence, the gate hangs ajar, swinging ever so slightly with the slightest breeze, making a faint metallic creak. From inside the house, the faint hum of electronics contrasts sharply with the brittle silence of the fog-swallowed night. Your phone vibrates softly in your pocket. You glance down, 2:03 a.m. exactly. The screen's glow is bright and unnatural in the dim space. No messages, no missed calls. You leave it for now, focusing instead on what draws your attention outside. A pair of headlights push through the thick blanket of fog, distant but growing. They reveal little, just faint, glimmering outlines cloaked in mist, wheels throwing back thin sprays of wet dirt and gravel. You step onto the porch, boots touching the slick wood, eyes narrowing as the vehicle moves slowly down the empty road beside your property. No taillights, no other signs of presence. The headlights don't turn away, don't flash or signal. You feel like they're watching, methodical and patient. The fog blurs the edges of trees and fences, swallowing the occasional rustle, the random drip from a soaked branch. You listen closely. A bird call? No, a low howl curls somewhere near the edge of the yard, distant and lonely. The gate shifts again with a soft creak, and the rain picks back up, drumming now against metal gutters. Returning inside, you slide the deadbolt into place, the click sharp in the quiet. You glance out through the peephole, seeing only swirling white fog in your porch light's halo. The footprints, muddy and fresh, aren't there anymore. It's as if the road already claimed the evidence of someone's passage. The phone buzzes again with an alert, but you ignore it. You settle into the kitchen chair, the warmth of the room, a thin defense against the cold pressing outside. The quiet buzz of the refrigerator blends with the distant storm's low grumble far off over the hills. The fog softens sounds and smudges shapes, turning everything into a half-remembered image. And you find yourself wondering, how often do the nights blend outside and inside, safety and vulnerability, until you can't tell where one ends and the other begins? When headlights appear through the mist, what story do you choose to believe? If you're listening now, late into the night, Thanks for staying. Before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps keep these stories alive. Where are you listening from? What time is it? Here, it's just past 4 a.m. The rain has softened into a steady drizzle, tapping against the back porch like a slow heartbeat. You can smell the damp wood and that faint, sharp scent of cold metal lingering in the air. The night feels heavy, wet leaves pressed close to the earth, the kind of earth that seems to hold its breath beneath soaking skies. You step quietly outside, barefoot on the slick wooden boards, the porch cool beneath your feet. Your fingers brush against something solid near the corner, the handle of a shovel leaning against the wall. You hadn't noticed it there before. The metal blade is dark, still glistening with moisture, and the wooden shaft feels polished and smooth from wear. The edge is dull but familiar. You pull it slightly forward, wondering how long it's been resting in this spot, half hidden in shadow. The sound of the rain is steady, a constant companion, but your other senses sharpen. There's a distant creak, the garden gate, still hanging ajar, moving slowly with the breeze. It groans the way old hinges do, a long, low sound that stretches out and falls away into silence. Your eyes scan the yard beyond the porch light's weak circle. Muddy footprints lace the stone path, leading toward the side fence, then disappearing into thick brush where shadows cling tight. Somewhere near the tree line, the wind carries a faint howl, distant, wavering, like a question sent out into the night. You steady your breath, hand tightening on the shovel's handle. The wood is cool beneath your palm, grounding you. A low rumble of thunder rolls across the dark sky, almost swallowed by the rain's steady fall. You notice how the light from the porch bulb pools unevenly, the edges fading rapidly into the blackness of trees and shrubs. The back door you left locked feels like a delicate barrier, strong enough for now, but fragile against the night's slow, patient approach. You reach into your pocket and pull out your phone. The screen glows 4:05 a.m., and you check for messages, alerts. Nothing new. No missed calls, no emergency notifications. You lock the screen and slip it back quietly, eyes returning to the fog-shrouded yard. In the stillness between raindrops, you think about how often the smallest details demand your attention in moments like this. A single shovel resting by the porch, a gate swinging slowly on tired hinges. These traces of presence, these subtle signs, do they belong to someone, or just to the tangled quiet of this lost, rainy night? You pull the door's deadbolt with a soft click, a familiar gesture that never quite sheds its reassurance. The rain patters on, wrapping your house in shadowed sound, and you wonder, when the night closes in so thoroughly, drawn tight with dripping silence and distant howls, what is it that really keeps you safe? Is it the locks and lights? The vigilance in your skin? Or something else, waiting just beyond where you can see? Thanks for joining again. If you're new, don't forget to like and subscribe. Where are you listening from right now, and what time is it there? Here, it's just past 1:30 a.m. The rain has been falling for hours, a steady, soft tapping against the side windows, filling the quiet spaces between thoughts with its rhythm. The air smells like wet wood and something faintly earthy, the kind of dampness that settles into your clothes and skin, cool and insistent. You stand inside near the hallway window, eyes drawn upward almost without meaning to. There, a faint glow pulses through the attic window, a sudden shard of light slicing through the dense night. The attic light shouldn't be on. You know this house too well. Familiarity presses in. Your breath catches slightly as the room feels colder, even though the heat is steady behind you. The damp night air feels close, pressing against the glass, blurring the edges of the streetlight faintly visible through the rain. Your mind starts working through what you already know. The back gate, ajar since earlier, swinging slightly with the wind's lazy push. You feel the rough texture of the wooden floor beneath your feet, steady and grounding, against the sudden tautness in your chest. You step away from the window, moving quietly, each footfall deliberate, so as not to shatter the fragile calm. Your hand finds the cold metal latch on the back door, locks familiar beneath your fingers. One by one, you test each bolt, hearing the faint but certain clicks echo softly in the hushed house. Locked now. The rain outside shifts from soft tapping to a quiet drizzle, delicate but persistent. Somewhere beyond the yard, the fence sways faintly, a creak catching your attention, the old gate reminded again of its stubborn unrest. A voice might be carried on this wind, but you hear only a distant, lonely howl. The kind of sound that feels both sad and patient, stretching thin across darkened fields beyond the reach of streetlights and neighbors, homes. You glance upward again toward that attic window. The light is steady, soft, unblinking, watching. You wish you could call it a mistake, but the doubt knots tighter like storm clouds gathering. The house is silent, but feels too full, as if the night itself holds a breath it refuses to release. The phones show 1:31 a.m. No missed calls, no messages, just the steady glow of the screen filling the dark hallway. You find yourself thinking about how often familiarity can be unsettled in a single moment. A light where there shouldn't be one, a gate left ajar, shadows moved by unseen hands. How we listen for difference in the ordinary, waiting, watching, quietly waiting for what might come next. You close your eyes for a breath, feeling the cool damp seep through the frame of the window, and you wonder, in a house full of locks and light, what does it mean when the darkness finds its way in? If you're listening this late, thanks for staying with me. Before we dive in, don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to keep sharing nights like these. Where are you right now? And what time is it? Here, it's just after 1:48 a.m., deep into a wet and quiet section of the night. The rain has slowed to a soft drizzle, tapping gently against the house's wooden siding with a rhythm that seems both random and steady. That fresh, cool scent of rain-soaked earth and damp leaves settles inside the slightly open window near the hallway, curling into the still air like a slow breath. You stand just inside that hallway now, where the floorboards are cool beneath your bare feet. The wood creaks faintly under your weight, a familiar sound, but tonight it feels sharper, more deliberate. The house feels unusually still, as though it's holding something in suspense. Passing a small table cluttered with keys and a half-empty cup of tea, you pause. The warmth you'd expected to carry from the kitchen has dissipated, replaced by a subtle change in the air, a noticeable chill that skims your skin, settling over your shoulders like a quiet warning. Your eyes flicker to the doorway at the end of the hall, where dim shadows pool beneath a flickering ceiling light. The softest, most subtle of sounds brushes your attention, a breath, almost imperceptible, barely a movement of air brushing across the wooden floorboards. It isn't the rain, it's something else. You listen. Then again, silence, save for the rain's distant tapping and the gentle hum of a neighbor's far-off lawn sprinkler, now long turned off. Toe against the cool floor, you move slowly toward the door on the left, the one that leads to that small, spare bedroom. The hallway seems to stretch longer than you remember, and every step feels measured, in tune with your growing heartbeat. When you reach the door, your palm brushes the cold doorknob, fingers tracing the dents and scratches pressed into the metal. You pause, breathing steadily, then carefully twist and open it, the hinge letting out a soft creak, a small, guarded sound swallowed immediately by the night. Inside, the room is nearly pitch black, the curtains drawn tight against the rain-soaked night. The smell here is different, faintly musty, with a hint of something cleaner, fabric softener maybe, or the residue of forgotten laundry. You reach in the dark for the light switch, and for a moment the entire house seems to hold its breath. Then the light clicks on, spilling weak yellow across the worn carpet and faded wallpaper. You scan the room, eyes adjusting to the glow, searching for anything out of place. Nothing at first, just the bed, neatly made, a small desk cluttered with papers, and in the corner, an old rocking chair that creaks quietly as if settling after years of stillness. Then, as your gaze drifts back toward the door, a sudden movement catches your eye, a shadow flickering just beyond the edge of that faint light, near the hallway threshold. You blink, but the shadow remains, soft and vague, but distinctly there. The rain outside softens into a gentle patter, barely more than a whisper. Somewhere beyond the backyard, the wind turns the loose gate, swinging it wider with a soft creak. The distant howl returns, low and uncertain, threading through the quiet air. Your hand remains loose on the light switch, ready to turn it off, but you hesitate. There's no one here, at least, not that you can see. And yet, this cold breath lingering in the hallway, this shadow between spaces, feels too close to dismiss. You close the door gently, locking it softly behind you. The chill follows, a reminder on your skin and your mind. Even in a house locked tight against the storm, even with every light burning, that feeling remains. The thin line between what is safe and what watches just beyond the edge. If you're still awake this late, thanks for being here. Before we begin, like and subscribe if you haven't yet. It helps keep stories like this alive. Where are you listening from right now? And what time is it there? It's just after 4 a.m., and the rain has softened into a fine drizzle, tapping quietly against the side window. The air feels damp and cool, carrying the sharp scent of wet earth and soaked leaves through the slight crack you left open to catch the night's fresh breath. The wood of the window frame is cool under your palm, slick with moisture. You slip on your shoes silently and head toward the garage, drawn outside before dawn by a faint restlessness you can't name. The porch light is dim, barely cutting through the low-hanging fog that wraps the yard like a cold blanket. The wooden deck boards creak softly beneath your steps as you reach the side gate, the one that you're pretty sure you locked earlier, but it stands slightly ajar, swinging lazily with the night breeze. You push it closed and listen, the creak of its hinges stretching thin into the stillness before the rain fills the pause again. Out here, the world feels heavier, all softened edges. The driveway underfoot is still wet, scattered patches of mud smeared thick along the gravel, tracked footprints leading away from the garage door. You crouch down, fingers hovering just above the wet stones, and trace the shape. Fresh shoe treads, muddied but clear, going from the back corner of the yard toward the side gate. You can see the jagged shapes of leaves crushed into the mud, as if someone hurried without care for silence or neatness. The rain picks up again, a soft drum that masks your breath as you stand and scan the dark yard. Beyond the gate, the street is empty. No headlights pierce the fog, no passing cars break the quiet. You think about the low howling you heard earlier, that strange, distant sound stretched across the fields, a lonely thread pulling at your senses. The scent of wet grass blends with the sharp tang of cold air. The soft creak of a branch bruised by wind echoes faintly, then silence again. You reach for your phone and check the screen. 4:12 a.m. No calls, no messages, just your own quiet presence marked in light. You lock the phone away and step toward the garage door, the metal handle cold against your palm as you test the latch. It's locked, unyielding. You press your forehead against the cool surface for a moment, the rain tracing blurred lines down your jacket sleeves. The world beyond feels distant, as if the rain has drawn a veil between you and an unseen observer. Inside the house, warmth and light wait for you. Comfort, safety, but outside, those muddy footprints speak of someone else's passage. a reminder that even the smallest sign can unsettle the quietest night. You pull the gate closed firmly this time, watching it settle back into place. The rain softens once more, a fading pulse around you. And you wonder, when the night holds its secrets so close, how do you decide what to watch, what to trust, and when to simply let the darkness keep its stories? If you're listening this late into the night, thanks for staying close. Before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps keep these quiet moments alive. Where are you listening from? What time is it where you are? Out here, it's well past midnight. The rain hasn't let up for hours. It hums steadily against the roof, chasing down the leaves, soaking the earth beneath. The air is thick, cool, an intimate dampness that clings to your skin like a whispered secret. Outside, you can feel the weight of the night pressing into the backyard. The gate is still slightly ajar, swinging gently in a lazy rhythm, creaking in time with the rain. The long grass nearby shivers with each breeze, droplets flicked like tiny silver sparks lost in shadows. Somewhere far off, a faint howling curls and folds into the dark, an echo carried on the wet wind. It's lonely, patient, like a voice searching for company. You're settled near a small campfire, the old fire pit rimmed with damp stones and scattered ash. The flames fight the rain, flickering low but steady, their warmth promising refuge in the rain's cold embrace. You reach out a hand, feeling the humid heat sift into your fingers, a quiet contrast to the chill soaking through your jacket. The damp wood crackles softly, a fragile conversation between fire and rain. The sky opens slightly, leaving a trail of silver drops that patter rhythmically on the surrounding leaves and the muddy earth beneath. Around you, everything blurs softly in the haze. The thick trunks of trees, the fence swallowed in shadows, a few scattered logs sitting like silent sentinels. The firelight dances across them, pulling sharp lines from dark spaces, casting fleeting shapes that waver with every gust. Rain falls into your hair, cool and steady, soaking through the sleeves of your jacket and soaking time itself into something slow, stretched. Your breath comes in quiet clouds, mingling with the smoke. The night feels vast, but contained, as though the rain draws a curtain you cannot pierce, holding secrets just beyond the firelight's reach. Footsteps earlier passed near the side gate. You felt the faint crunch of wet leaves and the murmur of gravel. But when you looked, the night hadn't changed. Only the fire still burns. The phone buzzes softly in your pocket. 2:18 a.m. A reminder of the world beyond this damp, whispered moment. You check it, find nothing urgent, no new messages. Then you close your eyes briefly, listening deeply. You hear the slow drip of water falling from a leaf, the distant sigh of the wind threading through branches, the long, low howl curling again across the dark. The fire hisses softly as rain sprinkles its surface. You realize that some of the most persistent things out here aren't storms or silence, but the steady, quiet waiting in the shadows, between heartbeats, beneath ajar gates, and all around you. Waiting for what? For who? The question lingers as the flames curl and die, and you wonder, when nights stretch far and rain falls hard, how do you hold on to the quiet without giving in to the waiting?